I left you at the last segment with telling you to check and see if you can find the beauty of enjoying what you're called to do. The greatest relief I ever had was the word that was put in my head in prayer that freed me and gave me the tools for the life hack I need. I'll share it with you. Now, I didn't say I need it, I said I need. I need this thing in my heart. And I wrote this down in answer to my prayer that I would achieve authority over numbers of people that would enter auditoriums that I had built. I was always good at building, always good at putting together places of worship, always good at getting all that stuff together. But I was suffering in getting numbers of people to enter auditorium. It was a true and simple case of following the idols placed before me in my childhood, unwittingly by my parents. Now, I'm honoring my parents, my father and my mother, and some will take offense at it, but I'm telling you that unwittingly they placed idols in front of my childhood of the church culture. This is what it stated. When you become great, you will have a great church filled with great numbers of people. Now, this was not shared by everybody. This wasn't the words that was actually spoken. It was the unspoken idol on the mantle. And social media allows everybody to see how many views you had, whatever, what kind of influence you got. But listen, all we have is the influence we have. Now, I got a lot more influence than I care to in some areas, but I can tell you, I get great joy out of being able to be called on. I finally told one of my buddies for the last 25 years, I said, call me when you're not in trouble. Call me when you don't have a situation you got to fix in the next 30 seconds. And he's my friend, so he'll laugh when I hear that. It's not shared by everybody. They don't want to do that. It's my job. But the unspoken idol on the mantle was when you get this great big church, and you get this great big buildings, and you get all this stuff going, then you will have achieved. No, my friend, they will then find fault with how you did it, when you're doing it. Somebody, oh, it's got to be illegal. It's got oil, blah, blah, blah. I mean, tens of thousands of things that come against you to tear down whatever's been stuck up. I had a friend who seemed to have no problem achieving numbers. Throngs of people came to hear him and follow his programs that he oversaw in his church. He had great conferences. Thousands of people would come to learn how to do what he had done. I wanted to do what he had done. But in my heart, these are those words I told you about that came when I was praying about achieving numbers. The Lord spoke to my heart, and he said, your friend has achieved numbers and the management thereof. He has not achieved many of those things which he needs in his personal life, and in the end, this will cost him the management of that which you see as achievement. Continue to do what I called you to do and allow me to measure your greatness. Now, this has to be told to myself often. When I see an opportunity, just because I can do it doesn't mean I should. That's another great thing my father taught me. He taught me just because you can doesn't mean you should. Then he was talking about financial opportunities. He was talking about buildings. He was talking about doings. He was talking about things. I think we were talking about airplanes when he was doing it. I think we were talking about buying more airplanes. And he had 2 of them at the time. Get them up in the air, and we can cookie cut this and make all. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. When the Lord spoke to me that, yes, this guy had chose the management, I've now lived long enough, 25 years later, that I've seen that it is actually true. There were things in his personal life, not necessarily sin. Hear what I'm saying, because we have some that want to just jump in everywhere and find fault. No. He just didn't manage his personal life, some things that were not sin, and that cost him the management of what I saw as achievement in those days. No longer in the last 7, 8, 10 years are there the great crowds. No longer are there the great, he had multiple churches. No longer are there the great conferences. No longer are they seen as the go-to people to study under. And their Samson's hair is cut short. No, I'm not mocking that. I'm just saying I didn't need what they had. I needed to do what God called me to do. I need to continue to do what He called me to do and allow Him to measure my greatness. There's the sweetest thing that comes over me at times. I hear the Lord say, I love you. Now, until you get on intimacy with the Lord and you begin to spend time, you learn to write before the Lord and write the things that you hear and your questions and exchange them for answers. I'm going to be teaching that, and you can get that in the future where I'm actually going to break it down and show you how it will help you in your life to get up. But you got to self-check yourself. Are you measuring your greatness by something from your childhood? I say yes. I still do it. But I have to remind myself of the Word of God and say I have to continue to do what I do and allow God to measure my greatness. And from that day to this, that's been my standard to measure the progress I've made. Whoa, before you start, I'm not going to talk to you like one that has obtained it. No, you're going to battle this the rest of your life. I said it's become my gold standard. I have to keep going back and say I'm doing what God called me to do, and God is supporting me and making a way for me to do what I normally do for Him. Many things I got myself caught up into doing that many people saw as great were not in the pursuit of the true greatness that God had planned for me. So my question today is, what is your pursuit? Now we'll pick up that next time on more, but I want to talk to you about that right now, because you say, well, which things did you get caught up into that was not God? They were good. I can't think of any more godly things than to be next to presidents and be next to rulers of countries and be next to ambassadors and be next to famous people. I can't think, oh, that's great, but it wasn't mine. I had to step away. I had to resign from great positions. I was one of 3 men only in a world that had been around for centuries. And when the Lord spoke to me and said, it's time for you to step aside and to put so-and-so in your place, and I put so-and-so in my place, and the magnificent work he has done has been proof that it is exactly like God said it. God wanted me to go back to what He had called me to do, and not what I got caught, and I did a great job, I tell you. You say, well, you sure are proud. No, I'm proud of God. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthened me. You have not hit the wall. Start saying it. I have a job to do. Go look at your corporate book, get it open, and say, God, fill this thing up. I need money, I need people, I need organization. I need you to put fuel in my ideas. Here it is, Father. Reach it out. And I'm going to tell you, you can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth you. And there's a pursuit of true greatness. And what is that? So let's go over it slowly again. You're going to get an idea. It's going to be a God idea. You have the God idea, many of you. Now you're a servant to that idea, and it's taking everything you can do to make it work. But it will bear fruit. It will come forth. And then you will become a father, where you will help others learn how to do what you have been called to do. Then will come a time when you have to transition into grandfatherhood. But right now, ask yourself for the rest of this day, what am I pursuing? What am I chasing? And who do I care about? Well, I hope the bishop likes what I'm doing. It really doesn't matter if I like what you're doing or not. It's up to me to not become a ruler of the Gentiles. It's up to me to not become a prince and exercise authority over you and tell you, well, you better watch it. You're going to fall. You're going to crater. Because I have carried those words of my brother-in-law in my head that he has never ever gave me $1 for my, when I have given him thousands of dollars worth of product and things. I have come to his need every time he's had it, but he's not ever one time supported one thing that I've ever done. But in my head, I hear him say, "You do that, you're gonna crater." Now, guys, you got stuff in your head, but you won't get on camera and tell it. I'm just old enough to say I can face whatever's said. I will tell you the truth. I love him, but that's the framework he was put in, and I don't count it to him. I count it to the framework he was put in that caused those judgments to come out of his mouth. He could be set free of it. I was, but I'm telling you right now, my pursuit is not anything to do with anybody else's framework. I got to do what God has called me to do, and I'm inviting you to do the same thing. Pursue the excellence of your true greatness. I know you're having it tough. Get up. Let's go. Let's have a victory today. Come on, call a victory in today. One good victory. Call it in today. God bless you. See you next time.